Let's bring in Ted Thatcher, president of Bright Lake Wealth Management in California. Welcome, Ted. It's good to have you here.
Alicia, it's great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So you heard the young voters from all sides really sound off there. The president made an announcement today, actually, about canceling more student debt. So this means the administration will have canceled student debt for over 4 million borrowers, totaling more than $153 billion over the course of his presidency. So this will offer some relief to young people who are not seeing a good return on their college investment. But what about the economy as a whole? What effect might this have on inflation, for example?
Well, I think that there's a number of things to talk about there. I think when we think about this student loan debt cancellation, they can call it student loan forgiveness, but essentially they're just changing who's paying the bill. Of course, that's going to get put on all of us, the average American taxpayer, and of course, future generations, our kids' kids. At the end of the day, too, I think it's also just basically a stimulus bill under another name. We just talked about, of course, you mentioned the inflation numbers that came out this week. Americans are feeling the weight of that in an incredible and pointed way. And when I look at the situation here, the conversation I have with folks every day is this interesting dichotomy between the financial markets and what's happening on Wall Street versus Main Street and what you and I experience when we go to the grocery store every day, when we fill up, of course, our tanks for our vehicles every day as well.
Yeah, it seems like there are two realities right now. As you mentioned, Wall Street versus Main Street. Explain that divide.
When we look at Wall Street, since the end of 2023, Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Fed, of course, came out and hinted at those potential interest rate decreases this year. If you looked at the futures markets at that time, the markets, Wall Street, started to price in over 7 interest rate decreases this year. They said it was over 60% likely that that was the case. And what I think the trend, especially in the last several weeks, is with the unemployment numbers that came out last week, with the inflation data that came out this week, and certainly putting a point in it this morning with the sentiment data, Wall Street is having to readjust and swallow some new expectations. The more of this kind of data that we see, the less discrepancy we can see between Main Street and the highs that Wall Street has hit. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Ted Thatcher, president of Bright Lake Wealth Management, appreciate your time today as always. Have a great weekend.